Guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Diana with Creativity Inc. And today I want to start my video with my weekend find, as I tend to be doing lately. I want to share all the goodies that I got. I got this very old bag. It's like so heavy and so old, but I love it. Anyways, and I also got this little doohickey. It's like a little Chinese magnet, but I think I'm going to use it in a journal or something. And I also got some very old music paper. I have an idea of a junk journal for music theme, and I was so happy when I saw these. Anyways, as you guys might have seen from the title, we're gonna start off our video with some more can art. This one is more detailed and is more labor. I guess it's not as easy as the other one, so that's why it's a little longer. It's a little more meaty of a video, but you guys bear with me. Anyway, so today I'm going to start with drilling a hole, and I wanted it to be a perfect circle, so I'm using the whole can to grab it as I drill a big hole with the drill. Excuse me. And it's the best thing to do it when it's still on the can. Like, don't try and take it off and then do it after. Anyway, so I need to clean off the other part too. There's like a few lips to the bottom of the can, so I score it first with the knife so it's easy to know where I'm cutting, so that it's a cleaner cut. And then I go back with my scissors, and it makes it easy to know where I'm going, and it's a cleaner cut. So anyways, this first thing that I'm doing here is a pocket watch. I don't know if you guys saw it from the picture of the video, but this is a pocket watch, and this is how I started. I used the bottom parts of the cans. I have so many of them, and I knew that I had to make something out of it. So anyways, once I cut it and clean it up, I have to sand it. I'm sanding this one just because the bottom of the can is a little different, and I don't know if because I'm cutting it differently or with different scissors, but it's leaving me these like little edges, and I already cut myself off screen. Of course, I don't want to get you guys dizzy with all the blood, but I cut myself just because I wasn't being really careful. So I cut myself, and I decided I had to sand these ones. And then I grab another bottom of a can, and I do the same thing, but I don't cut a hole on this part. So it would be the back end of the pocket watch. And then the one with the hole is the front or the cover of the pocket watch. And I do the same thing. I cut it, I clean it up. In this case, I washed it because I noticed there was still some sugar on there, so I went and washed it after. And as you guys can see, look, a beautiful pocket watch. I have a little thing there, so I was thinking of how to cover it, and I was also thinking how to enclose the pocket watch. So I don't know if you guys know, but these little like thongs or clips from Tim Holtz, they're metal, so they work really good as with the magnets. So it magnetizes really well with the magnets. And after I'm done with that, I'm going to do what I did with the lid on my junk journal. I used paper clay, and then I painted it afterward, and it's very sturdy. Nothing has happened. I don't know if you guys remember, this video was like maybe 2 months ago, and as you guys can tell, it was still there, and it was there was no cracks or nothing like that. So my secret is to put PVA glue and a little bit of water. So I did the scissors similar to this, and the scissor display. This is a junk journal day, and anyway, so what I did is I went around with it, and I wasn't too sure how I was doing it. So you guys will probably see me playing with it for a while and not really knowing where I'm going to go. I didn't want to make the same shape as I did with the jar journal. I just was I know I had to cover it because I wanted like a little fat, and the jar bottoms are not fat, they're domey, so they have that perfect dome and that perfect structure, but I wanted fat, like meaty, And I did want it to make some kind of shape on there, but um, once I'm done with the whole making it smooth and cleaning it up and stuff like that. I'm noticing that I don't know. I wasn't too happy with thinking how am I gonna shape it, because with the jar journal, I I use my fingers to shape everything, and with this one, I don't have that much space to shape things with. First of all, I don't have that much clay to make a lot of shape, and it's so fragile and little. It would be hard for me to do. So I'm leaving it to dry, and I'm still cleaning here and stuff. So what I decided to do is grab some of the mixed media pearls, I think they're called, and you can use the little rocks or you can use anything you want. In this case, I'm going to do it before it dries so I can put it within there, since the air clay has glue. All my little stones are going to stick right onto it. The clay is not sticky, but if I put something on there, it will glue. And I wanted to put it on both sides so that on the opposite sides of where the stones are, I can grab it and open the, the pocket watch. But I was thinking of having like some kind of enclosure on one side and maybe a hinge on the other. And I'm at this point, I'm still like thinking everything that I want to do to this little one. I mean, I figure I'm gonna do some other ones later. I have so many of these bottom ones, but at the same time, uh, I'm confused. I don't know what would work and not. So you know, this video that I'm showing you guys is something that things that I have in mind, not necessarily that I have done before, but I have in mind, and I want to try it on screen with you guys. Not all the things that I do are planned or I know of done or done before or practice somehow. I do them, and I do them on screen so you guys see my mistakes. You guys see my ideas, and you guys see me thinking about things, and maybe sometimes taking things off, put it back on. But uh, I do make a lot of mistakes in the videos. I don't know if you notice them, and sometimes I talk about them so you guys won't make those same mistakes. Like in this case, first mistake, I should have cut the two pieces before putting the stones on. So you guys remember that there's a top and a bottom. So I should have cut them first and cleaned it up at the cut before I decorated it, because I am going to definitely make a mess when I cut it. It's going to be a severe mess, and it's going to take me longer to fix it all up because it's all decorated with the rocks. So cut it first, then decorate. Got me? Good. So once you're done, I let this air dry for about a day, and then I come back to it because I really don't want to not make it sit right and stuff and crack it, because as it is, I'm already running the risk of cracking. Um, but if you let it dry, like really well dry before you play with it, then your chances of cracking are a lot less. The jar lid, it didn't crack at all, and it was a lot more clay, so it was a lot more thicker clay, and it didn't crack at all. I figured it would really crack off, but it's so sturdy. I've actually dropped the jar a couple of times because I've knocked it out. It sits on my desk, so I've knocked it out a couple of times, and nothing has happened to it. It's actually very sturdy. So it goes to show that it can last for a while. And also remember, I didn't use this Elmer's glue. I used the book binding material, which is a little bit stronger glue. So it's a PVA glue, and you can also use wood glue. Actually, in the jar journal lid, I used wood glue, and it worked out great. I really enjoyed. I really thought that nothing else is going to work, but this one worked as well. I think though for the future, I am going to keep with wood glue, just because you guys will see later. It looks like it wants to crack in a place, and it didn't crack off or crackle, but it looks like it's beginning to crack or want to crack. Anyways, excuse me. So you guys see how many how long it takes me to fix all that mistake that I did of cutting it after I did the decorating or the little stone. In this case, it's not a big deal like the jar journal where I took my long time to make the little designs and stuff. This because I just glued on stones, but it's still I'd have to like clean it up and make sure it would cut, make sure that that when it dries, it's not like stuck to each other. So when I take it apart, it like breaks or I break things apart. Anyways, my next project that I want to talk about is Hinges. I made this Polaroid or poly art album, and the hinges are metal, and there's one hinge with two flops on it. So the spine has the big piece of the hinge, and then the little flops are where it is attached to the actual cover. And there's a video. I will link the video for you guys so you guys can see this video that I made for. I don't go through it so extensively as how I made it, but I think I show you in more detail. But a lot of people were asking me about the hinges, so I figure I put it on my what is it, third can video, and talk about it a little further. And this is how I make my hinges. I literally just start with a piece of a cleaned piece of can. I don't want to call it can. I'll call it aluminum. Aluminum? Yeah, I think so. I'll call it aluminum. My little strip of aluminum, and this is where I design my cuts. So you guys see on the blade, I use the back end of the blade to score. It just makes it a lot easier. Very clean folding when I score it. And if you don't score it when you fold the aluminum, it cracks. I don't know. It doesn't look clean at all. So definitely scoring it is the best thing, but there's a trick to it. If you don't do it so carefully, you can overscore it, and then when you bend the aluminum, it tends to break off. So in my hinge that I want to make for you guys, I want to have a little window in the middle, and or a little frame, and that's kind of actually what I'm measuring here is where I'm going to fold it. So okay, the aluminum is very sturdy. It's a little sturdier than paper. Some of them, but at the same time, I want to give it that more sturdiness because it is a hinge, so you're supposed to be able to use it. So what I do is I make my hinge, the strip for my hinge, bigger than what I'm going to use it. So I cut the sides and the front of it I measure it so that I can fold them in, and it gives my hinge or whatever it is that I'm doing, because I also do this kind of technique with every structure that I make. I fold the edges in so that it gives me that crisp edges, and it also gives me more sturdiness. And here, remember, I'm scoring it. I don't know if you guys can see from the back. Wait, am I scoring this one? Yes, I am. So I fold the sides. Not the sides, the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to fold the front of it. And I don't know if you guys can see, but automatically it looks sturdier, and it feels sturdier. And also, I cut the little excess off. And also I feel like it becomes more straight because aluminum is so wanting to be something else to make it. It's so disobedient, if you guys know what I mean. So when you double it up, I feel like it's more obedient. I don't know, that's my word because I'm a parent. So it's like, kids, you tell them it goes one way and like they go and do exactly the opposite. I feel like this aluminum is my child. And so what I'm doing here is I'm doing loops. The loops that not twine. I don't know how you would call it, where where they go together. to make the hinge in the middle. So on this part, on the bigger part, I'm going to do 2, and on the little part I'm going to do the 3. So I'm going to do the inner 2, and then on the other part it's going to have 3, the top, bottom, and middle. And this smaller part is going to have just the 2 inner parts of the hinge. Here is where I'm going to make the little frame. So if you guys can see, I'm also trying to fold it in the middle. So I score where I'm going to fold it, but then I cut a little square in the middle. Then I score all the corners so that I can fold them in. You guys can see that I cut the corners, and I'm able to fold in a little lip off that cut that I did for the frame. And then once you do that, you're able to make your hole. And in this case, since I am going to paint the whole thing together, it doesn't matter which ones I use. And I have a lot of these pink ones that I really don't use. I do want to use them. I really love pink. I never use pink in my artwork, but I think that as you guys saw from the picture, I feel like these little eyelids inspired me to use pink in this one. So I ended up using pink, but it's not the same pink, but nevertheless it's pink. I love pink. And so because I am going to paint it all anyway, I decided to use whatever color I had on hand, whatever was easiest for me. So I have a lot of these pink ones. Anyway, so in order for you to line up everything together, always use something. In my case, I'm using a pencil, but you can use a brush, a pen. I mean, anything that's circular and that's going to fit with within that little loop. Make sure it's as tight or as loose as the other loops that you made, so that it's not. I mean, your hinge is going to be a little wonky no matter what you do, but because it's handmade and then the aluminum is not as strong. But if you keep them all as tight as the other one, then you're able to keep it somewhat coherent and make it so that they're all the same size and they flip. And when you open it and close it, it flips the same way. I feel like that's part of that engineering process of this hinge that makes sure that everything's the same. I'm an eyeballer kind of person. I like to eyeball things. But when it comes to like things that are gonna be structural, and I kind of sometimes measure it. So this is me over measuring everything, and I cut some of it off because I really over measured this time. The book, the Polaroid album that I made, the hinges, I made them like maybe 4 or 5 times because it was just something I had in my mind. I had not made one before, so I learned from my mistakes from the ones that I made before. And I knew I wanted to make a journal out of hinge, but I wasn't aware. So as I was making those hinges for that album, for my poly art album, that's how the hinges is what made the book come alive. And after when I made that, I feel like I wanted to really explore the hinges after I did that Polaroid album. And also Rosemary, she made an album of hinges, or she was talking about hinges in one of her videos, and I was like, I felt like I had to talk more about it, and a lot of people were asking me about the hinges on the other video, so I felt it was meant to be. And by the time I made this hinge, I had already got a little bit more the hold of it. Anyways, this other project that I'm making out of aluminum is is it an airplane gliders or propellers? And I start off with a ring I wish I had the die cuts for the circles, but if I did, it would look very perfect or even store bought, and then I wouldn't like it. But then I wish I did. I don't know if you guys know what I mean. I'm like contradicting myself. And anyway, so I did a circle and then I cut out the inner circle. So I have like a half an inch of a ring. That's you guys see on the screen that I made. And then I made a little circle uh, to use as my guide as to how thick my propellers are going to be. And then I make a circle in the middle. Then what you got to do is make a line from one corner of the propeller to where it meets the circle, and then you got to do it on the other half, or because you mark where that circle would be going in the middle, and then you mark the other half, and you guys see how my line is going to go from the circle to the tip of my propeller. Now, I keep on forgetting that I mark it, but I have to make my line from the back. So I keep on double marking it and always score it so that you have a perfect line. And I was just trying, at this point, I'm trying to shape my propellers because it's just an idea I have in my head. It's not really something that I've seen or that I'm copying. So, and I don't think I remember how propellers look. At this, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I should have looked them up. But I made this propeller, and I like the shape of it. I'm shaping and reshaping the ring that goes on the propeller. By the way, I want to take this time to thank you guys for watching all my videos and liking these can crafts that I do. I really enjoy making them. I really enjoy like the things that are like aha moments when I find out like things that I can do with the can. And I really encouraged by your your messages and your thumbs up and your views. And I just wanted to say thank you guys. And if you guys like this video and you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. I try to be creative and I try to have new and awesome things for you guys. Anyways, moving on to the propeller. You see that button that I had there before? You guys know how I make a circle on the, like a little inner circle edge on the from the back of the circle, so that it gives me that little lip, that lip that's kind of like bending down. That's what I did with the button that goes in front of the propeller, and I also did it on both edges of the that ring that I have in my hand. But I noticed that it was a little wonky, so I just put a little piece of cardboard in the back. Now my next can project, I discovered that with the Dymo, and I can put a strip of can and put words on it, and it's the best thing that I have bought for $1. I am so encouraged. I am so happy. When I saw it, I was like, what can I do? What can I do? I'm gonna label the whole world. But I used it on my Polaroid album too. But I went too hard on it, so it almost cut through. So on this one, I try to go a little less, but it it didn't mark it as good. Now this is one of those mistakes that I made. I made it's not a mistake, but it's something like blah. But you know, I thought I'd show it, and I would show you what I did and how I did it, so that if you guys see a way of making it better, I know you guys are very creative and you guys are awesome. So I thought I'd show you this, and you guys make it your way and make it in a way that you guys can make it useful. I'm making a closure, so you know, for your journals or for your creations, that you know you have a page that opens or closes in a certain way, and you want to keep it down like a closure. I'm making something like that, something that slides on and off. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry about the noise in the background. It's my washer, and I wanted to um, I mean, I know I can hear it, so maybe you guys will hear it, and then I'm really sorry if you guys can hear it. But anyways, this is I'm making a closure, and I start making this kind of like bubble gum, kind of like looking shape, and I thought I wanted to put like some dimension to it, like a little depth, and I didn't know what to use, so I used the thickness of one of the blades of my scissors, and I liked it how it was going. I think it was going the right way. I think I'm missing something, and I know you guys can come up with it, but I feel like it's going somewhere. If not, I was craving a cup of bubble gum with this little thing, but I'm making the case, and then after I make the case, I'm making the little inside tongue, or I don't know what it would be called. But again, I'm scoring the line that's going to go in the middle, and then once I score that, I'm going to fold it so that it gives me more strength to my little lip, structural lip. And as it is, when I score it, I still get some of those little wrinkles when I don't score it that well. And see, you guys can see the little closure part. Now I wanted to use, I'm always being asked what to use those little like can openers for. And I have a couple ideas in mind, and I might do a video just on them. Um, but for this one, I figure maybe I use it as a little handle for the closure, or the little tongue, and that allows it to move in and out. But I don't know. This is where I start doubting my whole project. And I'm like, it looks too flat, and then I start thinking of what to do. Long story short, uh, I take maybe 3 hours to make this thing, and I don't like it. But I feel like I owe it to you guys. You guys like this can projects. I owe it to you guys to show you things that I start, and I'm hoping one of you or somebody out there finishes it and gives me an idea, gives me a thought. Maybe it tells me where I went wrong, and I feel like this group would be a group that would help me or give me more ideas. But as for me, I'm like, this is where I like just when you run out of bullets, you just throw the gun. This is at that point where I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna attach it simply like this, and I'm not embarrassed of it, and I didn't want to hide it from you guys. So here's my failure. Okay, so then what I did is I took them and I painted them. But look, I had my fan on because it was so hot, and I put it on top. By the way, you guys didn't see me attach that dome to the ring. I don't know why it didn't record. Excuse me. But I attached another dome from the bottom of a can to the ring of the airplane blade. And um, how do I explain it so that you guys understand it? Because I don't know why it didn't record. Sometimes the camera gets filled and then it just stops recording, and I'm like in la la land trying to make stuff, and I don't notice, and I just keep on going. Sometimes I catch it on times, but other times, like this one, I just completely missed the whole thing. And anyway, so I attached the dome, but inverted. Um, And I didn't clean the lip off of it. So you guys see that for this pocket watch, I cleaned the little lip off of it on on the plain on the plain thing. I didn't clean the lip off of it, so that's what allowed it to the little lip attached to the bottom of my of the little ring that is going to hold the plain propellers. And in this case, I'm using this green on green, so it's like green bluish, and then I go with a metallic green and go on top of that to accentuate all those little stones that I added onto my to the cover of this journal. Once I'm done doing the depth, deeper color, and then my highlights, I go with the gold that kind of resembles the same gold on the green, and I just do a little bit more highlights. So in reality, this pocket watch has about 4 colors. You see the crack on the pocket watch, and that's because I think it's because I didn't use a wood glue, or it could have been that it was just super thin, and in reality, you want it thicker so it doesn't break. I don't know. I'm still learning about the clay, air clay that I use. My daughter's, I buy a bucket of her clay often, so I get to experiment with it. Anyways, so in this, the propellers, I made another one that again, it wasn't recording. I think I filmed it right after that dome one that I added. You see that dome that's attached on the back of this propeller ring. But I'm gonna show you guys how I distress my aluminum in 2 different ways. They kind of look the same. One way, I sand off the paint, the spray paint. It's a spray can, regular black aerosol paint, and I sand it. But when I sand it in a circle movement, so it looks like polished. Um, and so that's what I do. I just go around in circles, um, do it little by little. Don't get frustrated or want to do it quick, and um, sand it off in a quick way. I go little by little, um, and it works out great because I feel like there's more control with it. And I'm gonna attempt to mimic that same technique, but with paint. So once I figured out that my paint wasn't mixed well, and I mix it well, I'm gonna brush it on the same way in a circle pattern, and then as I'm painting, I'm blowing on it, so it kind of semi dries ish, and then when I brush it off with my finger, some of it stays and some of it goes, and that gives me that brushed semi semi silver look that I think you guys seen me use it before. So I made a junk journal. The first journal that I made, I think with staples, has this look on the back. So I spray paint it black, and then I go with silver. Then I brush it off, and I've always liked this combination. I've actually learned how to do this before the sanding. I learned the sanding when I started doing the aluminum rather than the painting. The painting, I've been doing it on paper, on wood. I actually have another video of how I did a trinket box. It's actually my first video on my YouTube channel, and how I paint my little sewing boxes using that sort of a technique. Anyway, so I'm going to show you guys the 2 ways that I use to rust or give it rust to metal, or things that I want it to really resemble metal. I do the brown. The second one is like caramel and then the third one is more like a mustard yellow. If you guys, I put the name of them. If you guys pause it, you guys can see them. I got these, I believe, I think they're Michaels, but I've seen them pretty much everywhere where they sell craft supplies. And I can see this being on a steampunk or any maybe aviation or maybe airmail kind of situation. And you guys can do black and red propellers. I think that would look super cute. And in this case, in the first one, the big one, I didn't attach a propeller because I'm thinking of maybe using a screw or something. I don't know, but since I'm not using it yet, I don't want to attach it till I know what I'm going to do with it or how I'm going to use it in what context. Either am I journaling it or am I going to put it in outside of the book? What am I going to do with it? So I don't want to attach it till I'm done with that. Anyways, my second type of rusting is I remove that caramel color and I add red. And it's like, I think it's called barn red because it's kind of like that brick color when it dries. And it gives me that rust feeling, but it's a different tone to it. And then I add that mustardy yellow on top of that red. I mean, it still looks rust. They both look rusted. But at the end of the day, it's whatever pleases you, you know? And so I go back, after I do the brown and the red and the yellow, then I go back a little bit more with the red. Just because rust has oxidation, and oxidation is a little red. So you want your rust a little bit on the reddish side. Anyways, this is my little hinge frame. And as you guys can see, I'm going to use, is it Dusty Rose or Vintage Rose? Color tones to it. And then I'm going to use the same technique where I'm like painting it in a circular motion. Also, guys, before I forget, I want to remind you guys, after you guys are done painting these, seal them. Seal them with either a glossy sealer or a semi-gloss or a frost. I like frost. I like using frost. I believe I use frost in all of these. Actually, no, I think I use a semi-gloss on all these. And, you know, any spray can that you buy from like Home Depot or Lowe's, any like hardware store, any of those will work on all of these. You just don't want it to be where if I scratch it with my nail, the paint's going to come off. So, you know, just whatever works. I remember when I was a little girl, I used to draw a lot, and I would hate that my drawings would like blur and like the paint pencil would come off. So I started sealing mine, but I didn't know about craft stuff or anything, so I grabbed hairspray and I would seal them. Nobody ever told me or anything. Later I found out that other people did it too. But I sealed my colored, not my colored, but my pencil drawings with hairspray. And also I rusted this a little bit, but in a different way. I used gold and brown to give it that worn look. And this is what I did with them. This is my pocket watch junk journal, guys. So yeah, I made a junk journal out of it. That's my maker's label. And then I did 12 pages, of course. Well, I did 11, but I'm counting the front cover as a 12th. So yeah, sort of like that. But that's my junk journal. No, that is not my junk journal. That is my pocket watch junk journal. Man, these are tongue twisters to me. Pocket watch junk journal. There you go. And this is what I did with the hinge pocket. So I put a word that I did on my Dymo. I attached it to the front cover. I had this little ribbon made out of moss or synthetic moss. I put a little piece of paper, like a notebook, and my some file folders. And I did that little Tim Holtz little things. I don't know, I think they're so cute, little clips. And this is the 2 propellers that I made. I don't know, I really enjoy them. Let me know what you guys think about them. If you guys have any ideas that you'd like to see me try out on the can, let me know in the comments. appreciate you guys coming to my channel. Thank you guys for watching. Stay safe. Till next time.